right. Hello and welcome to episode 84 of the Rhody Rumble podcast. Today I'm joined by former Rhode Island women's basketball guard and current associate head coach under Tammi Reiss, Megan Shoniker. Coach, thank you for taking the time again to join me today. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. I'm enjoying this weather, although it's a little bit rainy today, but the past couple of days have been absolutely beautiful. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you for asking me to join, and I'm ready for the tough questions you have for me.
Not too tough, but yeah, I'm sure again it's been a busy off season for you, just preparing for next season as well as traveling on the recruiting trail. But how's the off season been for you just so far all together?
It's been great. It's been really nice getting to know our five newcomers. We were lucky to have them here all summer. Well, really summer too. So for about 5 weeks. Got to know them, kind of who they are a little bit more off the court. Obviously, we spend a lot of time recruiting them, so we have a relationship developed already, but just spending a lot of time with them, and then obviously working hard on the court, installing some of our, basic principles offensively and defensively. But again, really getting the kids to gel together chemistry wise. For us as a staff, for us as a program, something that we really, that's really important to us is relationships. So again, doing a lot of like team building and getting them to spend time with each other off the court. So it was a fun summer, really fun summer, busy, extremely busy there. But all in all, I thought we had a good 5 weeks together as a team, and I'm excited to get going in September.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure a lot of the fans and just the Rhody community in general is excited as well, especially after last season. I feel that there's definitely a lot to build off of for the program. And you mentioned those newcomers kind of gelling and getting used to that new system. But how do you build off of the 2022-23 season for the 2023-24 season? Can you share what the progress has been like, what the preparation's been like this offseason?
Yeah, obviously we had a great run last year. Another history book season. But for us, as a staff and for the players that are coming back, we felt like, we underachieved in a sense, right? Like we really wanted that Atlantic 10 tournament championship and get to the NCAA tournament. So with a lot of majority of our kids returning, that's kind of been that's their goal, right? And then with the newcomers coming in, just really getting them to understand what we're about culture-wise. And yeah, we want to win championships and we want to be great, but we also want to do things the right way. And we have a very high standard as far as our process goes. So that's kind of where we're at right now, is just building off of what we did last year, but also staying focused on, the daily grind, the daily habits, and building and never settling, right? Never feeling like we've accomplished anything. That's kind of what's helped us always every year get a little bit better and a little bit better, is we're just never satisfied with where we let off last year. So enjoyed it. Obviously getting the championship rings, all of that, like that was really exciting. Our kids love that, but I think they have a little bit of a taste in their mouth of we have some unfinished business that this coming up year, we need to take care of. So hopefully we do that. But again, it's a daily grind, a daily build, a daily process in order for us to achieve those results.
And I think having that mentality of just never being satisfied and always feeling like you can improve is a stepping stone. Each year you see the progression, and, one year you go to the WNIT and the next year you win the regular season championship, and then you get the opportunity to play in the WNIT. And now it's just, what more can you do? What, more improvements can you make this off season to reach that next level? So that's great to hear about.
Yeah. It's exciting. Like I said, I think, we've been in the WNIT the past 2 years. This year we made a little bit of a run. So that's kind of like that stepping stone you're talking about. We got there the year before. We lost that home game against Quinnipiac. And then we won a couple this year. So now it's okay. Can we seal the deal in the Atlantic 10 championship and get to the NCAA tournament? So I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Yeah, for sure. I want to ask a few questions and just kind of shift gears here about your playing career. And just kind of work my way back to, becoming an assistant at your alma mater. When you come back, next season, but first, a question that I love to ask all the guests that I've interviewed and that I've had on the show is just, what is your why, or what motivates you?
My why really is the young women I work with. You know, I was really fortunate to have some great coaches throughout my career that kind of touched my life in different ways, right? And not even talking about basketball, just helped kind of shape me and mold me, and um, it left an impact on me that I will never forget. You know, and some of those coaches I still talk to this day, to this day. So really, I wanted to give back and do that for, you know, young women that were coming up through, you know, my coaching career. So it's really that. It's the relationships that I build with families and recruiting. It's the relationships I have with the, you know, the coaching staff. But I'm a people person. I love, you know, talking to people, meeting new people. And again, I just want to be able to influence lives as much as possible. You know, I think when we have those kids for that 4 to 5 years, that's, in my opinion, it's their most, you know, growing to do, right? Like you get them as a young women, they're just coming out of high school. Well, the next 4 to 5 years in college are going to be really important to their development, and then what they do in their future and their success. And, you know, we're kind of shoving them out in the real world after that. So I want to just be there to help them figure it all out. And that's what really motivates me. The basketball stuff is, I've always loved it. It's been a passion of mine. I think it's just like a cherry on top that I get to do that through basketball. Like basketball is a vehicle to help me, you know, mentor and develop some of these young women. But really, that's my why.
Yeah, sure. And I think that's great. Again, just to pay it forward. I always thought that, you know, sports creates such a sense of community within fans, within, you know, college athletes, within just athletes in general, even coaches. But to kind of talk a little bit about some of those mentors or just educators that you've had, you know, as a player throughout your career, and I'll get into your playing career with the
Mhm.
next few questions that I have. But now to kind of come full circle and to do that, make that same impact on, you know, certain athletes and certain, you know, young women and their families who come to play to the University of Rhode Island. Because I feel like the term committing to a program, committing to a coach, it's definitely changed. I want to say the definition has
Mhm.
changed over the years, but it's so
Mhm.
important that that first initial, you know, meeting or moment that you meet a recruit or a player
Yeah.
step on campus, you make an immediate impact. And that goes for on and off the court. So I think that's just a great answer.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely goes. It's funny you say the word committing is like a different meaning, because I
Yeah.
laugh at that, but you're right. It really is. There's
Mm.
different meaning, different factors into it now. But yeah, I mean, it really is the relationships. This is what, you know,
Sure.
our job really is. It's based on relationships and people, and a two-way street as well, right? Like, so Coach Reese always laughs that recruiting is like dating. Um, you know, and both people want to be involved in the relationship. So yeah, it is paying it forward 100%.
For sure. And that kind of segues me into your commitment to the University of Rhode Island and sort of your recruitment process. But you're originally from Rochester, New York. I'm
Yeah.
curious what that process was like for you, you know, coming out of high school. Why did you choose to play for the University of Rhode Island? Can you talk me through a little bit of what that decision was?
Yeah, it's a little bit unique with URI because they kind of came in late, is what you would say, in the recruiting process. You know, I was in touch with a bunch of local schools, St. Bonaventure, you know, Binghamton, Canisius, Bucknell, and for a long time, for years. St. Bonaventure was there since I was like, you know, sixth, seventh grade. They got in there pretty early with me, but URI, Coach Garrett, Coach King, those were Denise King and Tommy Garrett were the two that kind of recruited me, with Coach Garrett being the head coach. They came in a little bit late, and there was just something about both of them as people that I was really drawn to. And I felt like my first conversation with Coach Garrett, I could trust him. And he spoke a lot about building something and building a legacy, because obviously at the time they were, you know, not very good. They were trying to build. So, and that really kind of, it spoke to me in a sense of, I didn't want to go somewhere where something was just already established. I wanted to be a part of building something and bringing a championship somewhere for the first time. And I wanted to be able to have an impact on doing that. And then when I got to campus, that feeling just grew in me even more, with the sense of trust and the people. And, you know, I met administrators on my visit, the players. It just felt like home to me. It felt like family. And my father was pretty involved in the process as well. And he was on board with it. Like, he absolutely loved Coach Garrett. So again, for me, it came down to the people. I just felt really, really good. And my vision, my wants matched what they were, what their vision and what that their wants were. The only problem with that is we never fulfilled, we never really built that when I was there,
Right.
which full circle, which is why I'm back at URI. Cause again, I felt like as a person, I had unfinished business at URI, but yeah, again, I'm going back to kind of that first, or when you asked me my why, it was people for me. It was really the people that I met on my visit, and Coach Garrick and Coach King is my coaches. I felt really, really good with them. And that's what, and the beach didn't hurt. The beach they took me to the beach on my visit, and I was like, okay, this is nice. So the beach definitely played a role as well, but I would definitely say the people and the vision matched, me and who I was.
Do you take, I guess just a follow up to that, do you take little things from what you remember being recruited by URI or what we're looking for in somewhat of a fit for a school? And do you try and apply that in your recruiting tactics today? And then also, I was just thinking about it. Did Coach Garrick at all you talk about how he sort of mentioned legacy and kind of implement
Mhm.
that into a lot of the discussions that you had with him? Did he at all relate that to his playing career or his experience at URI?
Yeah, so to answer your first question, yes, I do take, me being a student athlete who was recruited, I remember, the things I liked, didn't like. So I use both. Like for me, if there was something that stuck out in my mind that didn't really sit right with me, I'm like, okay, I'm probably gonna avoid, that, right? And then just certain things that I really liked or that drew me to somebody, I kind of use those as well. But the biggest thing for me in the recruiting process is just being myself, and just being really honest and truthful with what we can offer at URI. Because at the end of the day, if you try to be something you're not or sell something you're not, and then those young women get here, well, that's why the transfer portal is crazy right now, right? So I think that's the biggest thing. And again, I think I felt that from Coach Garrick and Coach King. They were really honest with me about everything at URI. And I was drawn to that. So I really try to just be as pure of me as I can, and purest version of me as I can. So, and then the second part, yes, Coach Garrick talked a lot about his playing career, and again, just how he left an impact. How he really came from being an unrecruited kind of underdog, and how his work ethic got him, to the league basically. And that was something that we really, really were similar on, was our work ethic, was our underdog kind of mentality. And he felt like he could really develop me and help me, reach certain aspects of my game that maybe some other coaches weren't able to. So he did. And he also made sure he let me know how good he was. We had a lot of one-on-one sessions where he never even tied a shoe, and he would, beat me 11-0, 11-1. So but yeah, he did. He spoke a lot about, his time there and what his time there meant to him.
Yeah, and I think that's great to just kind of connect and relate with a coach on that level. And I'm sure you again do it with some of the current athletes. I'm sure Coach Reiss does a great job of that, and as well
Mhm.
as the other assistants on staff, just connecting on a personal level and sort of having the same thought process. Not just about things that you can do on the court, but like I said, off the court, how you can train, how you can be a better student, even in the classroom, or just a better individual all around. Because, like you said in the beginning of the interview, really it's the 3 or 4 years where you can shape a
Yeah,
certain person's career, and just that goes in the professional career and their personal lives, or even just their playing careers, depending on where they want to take that. So I think that's
100%.
great that you're able to kind of apply what your experience really and what you learned during this process and use it in your everyday life now as an assistant at URI.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because we always talk about, we've walked in their shoes, right? Like myself, Coach Reese, Coach TK, we all played at this level. We played Division I basketball, but I always joke like, no, I literally walked in your shoes in the hallways that you're in, like in the dorms that you're in. So I know exactly, what's going on really at URI, but it is nice. It gives you, an extra way to connect with them. And again, what they do is really difficult. Being a Division I student athlete is not easy. So to have multiple people on staff who can tap into their experiences, I think again really helps create a relationship with the young women, and then also an environment where, hey, I can go and I can get the support that I need. I can open up, and I think it just creates a really good atmosphere for our student athletes.
Yeah, for sure. I do want to talk a little bit about your playing career at URI. During your time in Kingston, you were a two-time captain for the program. Just to read off a couple of stats, scored 1,318 points, which is actually ninth best in program history. Made
Yeah.
158 three-pointers, fourth best in program history. 301 assists, which is sixth best. And you currently sit first in program history with 18 free throws in a game and 159 free throws in a single season. Also earned A10 all conference honors in your senior year, ranked 25th in the nation with 18.9 points per game. So I'm just curious if you could talk a little bit about that individual success. Obviously, you talked a little bit about, not really accomplishing what you wanted to on the team level, but if you could talk a little bit about that individual success and just what it was like to accomplish, some of the record breaking and program breaking stats that you did during your time with the Rams.
Yeah, no, obviously it's nice, right? Like seeing your name and some of them top 10 categories and the current players, talking a little junk to me, telling me that they're gonna knock my name off and all that good stuff. It's nice, it's fun to look back on, but I will say that if I can go back and change a whole bunch of that and to kind of change it in for some more wins, I would do that in a heartbeat. That was always kind of my goal. Again, that was what Coach Garrett talked to me about. That's what I was chasing here. That's what I was working hard for. But it is nice to know that, hey, at least, we didn't win as a team, but individually wise, I was able to do some things that helped me actually end up playing, professionally overseas for a little bit. And that's nice to know that my individual, work and hard work paid off. But man, yeah, if I would do anything to win a championship as a player. And again, that's why I'm back here, right? I couldn't do it as a player, but wanted to do it as a coach. So yeah, some of those stats are cool. And hopefully one day, hopefully in these next couple of years, my name will be knocked off. That means we're doing something right as a coaching staff if my records start to go a little bit lower. So
Yeah. Yeah, I thought Dolly was definitely going to pass you in 3 points made by her time at the end of URI. But I think it's definitely nice to see that you made that individual success and made that impact on the program. And now, like you said, coming full circle back to the program, trying to obviously beat those records, but also trade it in for a couple more wins. And you guys certainly were able to do that last season, which is very nice to see.
yeah.
You mentioned you played professionally overseas in Belarus, actually. What was
Yeah.
that experience like for you? Can you just talk a little bit about your time there and what you learned, as a person and also as an athlete playing professionally overseas?
Yeah, I think my most growth when I was overseas was probably personally. I'm a big family person. I'm really close to my family. Obviously being from Rochester to Rhode Island, it's like 6 hours, but it's nothing from, Rochester to Belarus. It's a whole different game when you're that far away. So I think I realized how, even more important my family was to me and how much I wanted to be back home with them, but also really getting outside in my comfort zone. Anytime you move somewhere new, it's different and it's a little bit uncomfortable, but I really had to get outside of myself and, learn about a whole new culture, a whole new language, a whole new, diet system over there as far as just how they ate and the type of foods they ate. And I think I really grew a lot. I think I grew up. I think, my 4 to 5 years at URI helped me grow and I became independent, but I think I became a whole grown adult when I was, thrown into another country and forced to kind of survive. I mean, not really survive. They take really good care of you, but and then as an athlete, I mean, it's such a different game, right? Like you're just playing against really grown, mature women. You could be playing against 28, 29, 30-year-old women. And, I think that helped me grow as well. Like I really had to figure out, with what I had as far as my skill set, my athleticism, how to be successful over there. And the first couple of weeks were an adjustment just with the rules and again, the size and the physicality. But once I adjusted, I really enjoyed playing in Belarus. But I only made it a short time because again, I was like, well, as soon as I got home, I was like, I'm never leaving again. I'm never leaving Rochester again.
Yeah.
Obviously that was not the case, but yeah, so I love playing though. Now, there's nothing like playing professionally and traveling the world and, getting paid for it is really nice too. So it was a good time.
I'm curious if there was a language barrier in the beginning of that experience that made it a little bit more challenging.
Yeah, there was a big language barrier, actually. So I had majority of my teammates were from Belarus, and then I had two or three teammates from Ukraine. My teammates from Ukraine spoke much better English than, those from Belarus. So actually, I had one teammate who I lived with who was kind of like my translator. And I would have to say some things to her. She would relate it to the coach, and then, vice versa, because the coach spoke zero English. So yeah, it was difficult. Again, the adjustment the first couple of weeks, there was a lot. But as we kind of, went on, I started to realize, like, at the end of the day, basketball has I feel like in just a world language. And yeah, maybe they kind of say things differently, or ball is not ball or whatever, but you just kind of know, you pick up on things. So once I was able to do that on the court was a lot more, easier. And then I started to get to know them off the court really without even speaking the same language. I don't know how to explain it. It was interesting. But I loved my teammates. I had a blast there once I was able to kind of get through, that language barrier at first. But yeah, I needed a translator there for a while. So that was helpful.
Yeah, I mean, those experiences are definitely once in a lifetime, and overcoming certain challenges like that are definitely going to make you not even just a better athlete in the end, but even just a better individual. So having experienced something like that, I'm sure it's something that you'll never forget. You've made memories there and connections, like teammates that you just said that you'll still keep in touch with. I'm not sure if you do, but that's just still really cool to have experienced something like that.
Yeah, no, it is. I look back on those times, and I laugh about them. I get sometimes I regret. I regret's a strong word, right? Because everything happens for a reason. My coaching career took off once I stopped playing, but I look back and I wished I would have maybe hung on for another couple of years, and didn't come back home and had that mindset of, no, I'm not going back. Because I could have had the opportunity to go back and play on the same team.
Right.
Sometimes I look back and I'm like, man, I wish I would have done that. Because it was a fun experience. It was cool.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, everything happens for a reason though, and it seems like it's
Exactly.
definitely worked out. But
Yeah.
return to the United States, when did you decide you wanted to become a coach? Was that something that you always sort of knew you wanted to do, or is that something that you needed to kind of refine or rediscover?
Yeah, it was something that's basically was almost born into me. My whole family, in one way or another, is either a coach or a teacher or both. So I kind of grew up around that. My father being a really heavy influence in that aspect. He's a teacher, he's a coach, and so I always knew I wanted to do one of those two things. And then as I kind of kept growing up, later on in high school, really early in college, coaching, I just knew that's what I wanted to do. Now I got my degree in phys ed in case it didn't work out, because to me they're very similar, coaching and teaching. You're doing the same thing. It's just different, kind of avenues. But
Sure.
again, it was for me. It was I had so many coaches that influenced, my life. I wanted to do that. That's where I felt that I was going to be the happiest and most passionate about. So it was pretty early on. So right when I got done playing, I basically hit the ground running with, applying to jobs, and I was able to get on as a graduate assistant at a local, which was a perfect scenario for me because I was able to get my master's complete. I was able to get my feet wet in coaching, and I was able to be back close with my family for a couple of years. So, yeah, there was really no thinking or anything like that. It was done here, boom, on to the next thing.
That's awesome. You said that you kind of cut out there. Was that Kinesis that was the first school you were at?
So Canisius was my first Division I school. It was St. John Fisher University. It's a Division III school in Rochester. So that's where I started. I did 2 years there as a graduate assistant, and then I was hired at Canisius as a full-time Division I assistant.
And then the latest experience was Binghamton, correct?
Yes, yep, Canisius to Binghamton, and then Binghamton to URI. Yeah.
Okay, so having worked on multiple different staffs before coming back to Kingston, did you find that that made you, more prepared to take on this role under Coach Reiss, or were you just sort of, was it the right fit? Did you feel like you were definitely prepared having gotten that experience on the coaching side?
Yeah. I think the Canisius and Binghamton were both, two different head coaches, two different philosophies, two different types of, young women I was recruiting, just because of the area, the schools and things like that. I had different roles on both staffs. You know, Canisius, I basically had my hands in everything, right? There wasn't one thing in the program I didn't do. And then Binghamton, I was very heavy into the recruiting and the defensive stuff. So when Coach Reiss called me, she was looking for a recruiting coordinator and she was looking for somebody to kind of take over the defense. And she was really looking for somebody with, you know, she loved the fact that I had strong ties to URI being an alum. So I think my previous stops definitely helped me. They helped me grow. They helped me learn. I got my, you know, hands and feet wet in different things. So when Coach called, I was kind of fit her exact mold for what she needed. You know, she needed a seasoned assistant who had coached and recruited at that level, and then somebody also who could be the defensive coordinator. So if I didn't have those two stops, though, yeah, I don't think I would have gotten the opportunity with Coach. Just because she needed somebody who had some, you know, years under her belt. She wasn't looking to hire, you know, a newbie in that role. So I'm very fortunate.
Yeah, and was it a no-brainer when your alma mater is calling you up, you want to go back for this new opportunity to kind of finish that unfinished business that you were talking about as a player? Was that a no-brainer?
No brainer. It was something that was on my mind for years. I always said, you know, once I transitioned into coaching, I was like, I want to get back to URI.
Sure.
I want to get back to URI because of the unfinished business. I want to win a championship, but I really wanted to do it for the right person. That was really important to me. I wanted to go there and be an assistant for somebody who had the same kind of values as I did, the same vision, and wanted to do things, you know, the right way. And so when I jumped on the phone with Coach, man, we were just like zing, 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 zing. It was kind of like we were talking to ourselves, you know, like she always jokes that I'm her mini me. And I felt that on the phone. And, you know, she would ask me a question, I would answer, and her answer would be very similar. And I would ask her a question, she would answer, and I'm like, that's exactly, you know, what I'm looking for. So when she offered me the job, there wasn't even a slight hesitation. You know, I was taking it.
Yeah, that's kind of cool how you're able to kind of match your own energy with her energy as well. And you can tell that
Yeah.
she's definitely animated and you guys both get into it. You both want to win, you know, and I think that's definitely a great, you know, characteristic or passion to have as a head coach and even as an assistant as well.
Yeah.
Which takes me into my next question, which is just about the coaching staff. Just having worked together, you know, now translating to the program's success. Can you just talk a little bit about, you know, the dynamic? You said you're a big relationship person. Can you just talk
Mhm.
about, you know, certain relationships that you have on the coaching staff and how you guys work together?
Yeah. I mean, we've been, man, this is going on our fifth year.
Yep.
So myself, Adne, Corey, Stefan, we've all been here the whole entire time. Coach TK is, you know, she joined us this past year, so she's kind of the newest of the group. But I think one thing that Coach does a great job of is she really provides an environment for you not just to be coworkers. It's a family environment. So when she holds dinners or has her team over, she invites all of us. You know, significant others are included, families included. So I think she helps, you know, make that environment possible. But then at the same time, I've I just think we all relate really well to each other. Like me and he's like a brother to me. You know, there's times where he gets on my nerves, and I'm sure there's times where I get on his nerves, but you know, at the end of the day, I could call him right now and about anything. You know, we talk about absolutely anything and everything. And same goes for Takima. You know, I knew Takima for a couple years before she was on staff here. And her personality just fits in perfectly. You know, me and Tammi have a very energetic, kind of loud, passionate personality. And so Coach A brings that little bit more of that laid back reservedness, and then Takima can kind of float in between both at times. So I think as assistants, we all balance each other out really well. But we're all extremely close. Like it's not even like we're coworkers really. It's like we're all brothers and sisters. And then same thing with Corey and Steph. You know, they've been here a bunch of years, and they're Corey's same way. Corey's a little bit more laid back. Steph can have a little bit more energy to him at times. So I think Coach has done a really, really good job at, you know, hiring people that complement each other. Um,
Sure.
and yeah, it's a fun group. It's a fun group. We have a lot of fun. There's a lot of joking, you know, there's a lot of making fun of each other, things like that. And then there's also a lot of passionate conversations that happen around basketball. But really, really, I love the people I work with. I'm really fortunate to work with the assistants I do.
Yeah, and I think something you mentioned in that answer was, Tammi wants to bring that family environment and make sure that
Mhm.
everyone feels welcome, from assistants to trainers to even the players and everyone. And I think that's definitely something, because obviously with the more people you bring in, different personalities, but it seems like that definitely works, the kind of dynamic and the kind of coaching staff that, she has built. And it really works, obviously on the court, you see the
Mhm.
success of the last few years, obviously. And then off the court, because I've talked to a few of the players, and they seem that they really have connected, with you and coach. And it just feels like, if you have that relationship with a coach, you tend to do better, whether it's, again, performance wise or just throughout college, because there's a lot that goes on, in the daily lifestyle of a student athlete. So,
Oh yeah,
this obviously is pretty cool to see.
yeah. Yeah, I think I think again, it's all from the top down. I think coach just does a great job at creating the culture she does. And we can't preach relationships and things like that if we're not developing relationships within ourselves as a staff. So that's something that's important to us. And yeah, I think we're just really, really lucky with the leader that we have.
Sure. Yeah, that's awesome to see. I have two more questions for you.
Yeah.
Obviously, the most recent success that we've talked about, but especially last season, we talk about winning the A10 regular season championship, getting the chance to come back, obviously 5 years ago, and now see your alma mater do things that, you wanted to do as a player,
Mhm.
regular season championship as a coach. What was it like to be a part of that run? You talk about paying it forward, coming back full circle, but what was it like to be a part of that, a piece of the program, and also just cutting down the net in that moment?
Mm.
That like,
Yeah. Oh man, you're making me go down the memory lane a little bit. I got a big smile on my face. It's interesting because when you're as an assistant, right? You're like there throughout the season, there's not really much time to, celebrate the wins because you have scouting reports, you're recruiting. We could have a game and the team's headed home and I'm jumping on, a flight to go watch a recruit. Or, we just won a game and my mind's already on the next game because that's my scout. So it really wasn't until that buzzer went off against Dayton that I truly was able to like finally relax a little bit and celebrate and like really realize kind of what we had done. Especially because the game before that was Fordham, and we could have, kind of closed the door and won the Atlantic 10 championship outright if we had beat them, and that was my scout. So it was like I was really, really disappointed with that one. But then when the Dayton game happened and the confetti started falling, I had my dad was there, my partner was in the crowd, and to just be able to celebrate with them and see Tammi's family's on the sideline, and I will never forget that moment. I mean, I was literally like a little kid. Pretty sure me and A like jumped in each other's arms. We were hugging, I was hugging everybody. Um, yeah, I will never forget that. And I hope it's not the last time I'm able to celebrate like that, right? But just all the years of being a player, all the years of seeing this program struggle, the years before that of us trying to build this, it was just a lot of relief and kind of like, okay, it wasn't for nothing, right? And just to see like, Gina celebrating, Gina Sperry, our senior women's administrator, she's been there for years. She's been through, a lot of the ups and downs. Thor, I mean, all these people that, have been there when it wasn't so great. It was just really cool to see everybody, celebrate and finally get that for the women's basketball program. So yeah, that was a moment I'll never forget when that confetti started to fall. So
yeah, I'm sure.
yeah,
I mean, I was broadcasting that game, and just to see that, I mean, I hadn't been following the program until I got there as a freshman, so Tammy's first year,
yeah.
and this year with the program. But just to kind of see the progress, over the course of even those 4 years, and watch that. It really was sort of that underdog story that you were talking about. Nobody
Mhm.
really counted them to be a contender in the Atlantic 10. Nobody really knew what to expect with this new coaching staff 4 years ago, and then you see bringing in new recruits, you see the progression and see sort of the ups and downs. I mean, and not everyone, sees what you see and what everyone internally gets to see. But
Right.
again, obviously there was a lot of work and, late nights and dedication
Mm.
to
Yeah.
mornings, late nights, and just a lot that went into, having that moment. But I'm sure it was a special feeling. And probably, gives you goosebumps just to even think about or talk about, because it's like everybody wants that and they work towards that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definite goosebumps for sure. And it makes you want like more. I think that's where our kids are at. Like they got a little bit of a taste of it. And now it's like more and more and more. I mean, I know that's how I'm thinking as a coach. Like how can I be better to get these kids better, to help the program get to the ultimate goal, which is, getting to that NCAA tournament. So yeah, goosebumps. And then also like that hunger comes back a little bit. It's
Sure.
almost like you have a little piece of cake and now it's like, okay, now I want the whole cake. I can't have just a piece.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes you see teams that they celebrate and they win a championship or they hit a huge milestone, and then whole off season passes by and then they're struggling tremendously, and
Mhm.
they kind of have that hangover from the celebration. But it doesn't seem like that at all with this program and with you. You want more. You just want to do what you haven't done already, and then even more some. So
Exactly.
that
Yep.
that's awesome. So looking ahead, obviously, last question for you. This upcoming year, what can, fans expect from the program? What can fans who are watching this interview at home expect,
Mm.
just from the 2023-24 Rhode Island Rams, and what can they look forward to the most?
That's a good question. I think there's still some unknowns for us as a staff because we were missing a couple pieces in the summer. We had a couple young ladies playing with their national team. But I can tell you this. I think the biggest thing that stuck out to me and stuck out to the staff is we have a team that's extremely competitive. And there's different levels, right? Like, oh, a team that really works hard. Last year, we worked hard. We had a group that worked really, really hard. They never quit. They never kind of caved. But this team is just individually extremely competitive and prideful in their game, and it's fun. Like sometimes we have to kind of hone them back a little bit in practice over the summer. Like, hey, ooh, like okay, it's just the summer. So I think you're going to see a team that competes really, really hard, that's really hungry to win. I think you're going to see a team that gets after it defensively. We added some athleticism, especially at the guard spot, which is something that we felt like we really needed. So now we can press a little bit more. We can get after teams defensively more, which is going to allow us to run up and down more offensively. So I think you're going to see an exciting brand of basketball on both ends of the floor. And again, that compete is just something that until you see it, you won't really understand what I'm saying, but they're just ultra competitive, just fiercely competitive. And so again, I think that's what fans want to see, right? They don't want to see people out there just playing. They also want to see kids who are putting it all on the line. And I think we have that. And I think we're really talented. I think we have a bunch of highly talented individuals. Now it's going to be our job as a staff to bring that together as a group, which again, I think that's something last year we did really well. I think we had ultra talented kids last year, but they put kind of their own individual agendas aside and really came together as a group. And so now can we get that same mentality with this team this year? And I think we will. But extremely talented, extremely competitive, and I think it's going to be a really exciting brand of basketball when we get out there and we start getting up and down and showing off what we can do. So super excited for this year. I'm really excited. I'm really excited for the kids that we brought back, and I'm really excited for the ones we've added. And I can't wait to see what they're gonna accomplish. So I hope that's good enough, Rhody fans.
Get me excited for sure. I won't even be there, but definitely will be following from afar, and definitely will try and make it back down to a few more games. But thank you again for taking the time today, Coach. I really appreciate it. Best of luck this next season, and of course, go Rhody.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all the love and support that you give our program. We appreciate it.
Thank you.